freak. Do you find that you're guilty of making mindless commissions of error? And is it not especially disturbing if it happens to filter into your gambling? I mean, have you had that happen to you yet?
I got married.
Were you sincere when you said I do? That you thought this was going to last until death did you part? Or were you ready to kill her after 5 minutes to make that happen?
I sort of thought that foolishly, but things happen, and...
How sure were you? I mean, is it just something you wanted to believe, or did you really believe that that was going to happen? Like Lubie with Game 6 in the Heat.
No, I mean, I obviously thought, when I got married, it was going to last. I wouldn't have got married if I didn't. It's like putting in a bet. You don't put a bet in, you think you're going to lose. Like, I thought I was going to lose.
People were on the under at my, especially this last marriage, which I think, the under players got crushed already.
The time. Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
A very pleasant good morning to everybody out there. Welcome to the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and Mike Lubie Lubitz. And we were putting together a little piece for 5 Reasons Sports Network we do every morning called Defo on 5 before the show. And it struck me that Lubie and I, after 12 years together, and this was a very improbable pairing. I still remember, and I thought it was very disparaging to you, Lubie. It showed the lack of respect that management had for your good work ethic. It's always the guy that works the hardest, shows up on time. I don't know. Did you ever complain in the early days of your tenure there at 940 Wins, the sports animal as it was known at the time? You were working for the animal, my friend. The animal.
I make faces, as you know, but I don't complain. I outwardly complain. I just do my job.
No, I mean, I've seen you walk out of, the program director's office after being just handed the biggest pile of shit that anybody would be asked to accept on any job and said, okay, we'll give it a try. Now we would turn right around and go, can you believe this woman? What is wrong with these people? How do they get jobs? How do they keep their jobs in radio management? Do you have to be lame? And totally, here's a creative industry, right? It's theater of the mind, Lubie. Even this, you can see us now, so that takes some of the element out of it, right? Because people always wonder, what does this guy look like who's talking to me? Right? People figure I'm some short, old, fat guy, and which I pretty much am. And maybe not so short. By today's standards, though, everybody's like 6'5". Women are 6'5", right? The 50-foot woman. I met her the other day in Publix. And, it was one of those things where Lubie was always perceived as, being, I don't know, why did people think that you would be some kind of oddball-looking guy? The voice? What do you...
Yeah. My voice is weird.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Very distinct. I've become accustomed to it. It's grown on me, Lubie, believe it or not. I actually think that you have a good broadcasting voice at this stage. Right. And that way, because it stands out. Everybody knows it's you right away. It's not one of those things where you go, geez, was that Mark Hochman? No, that's Lubie. Clear cut. That wasn't Defo that said that. That wasn't Mayo. Yeah. It was Lubie. They know that it's you. I think that's a good thing. But over time, does this happen? I mean, it's not a male-female relationship. And certainly, we don't have anything to hide from Ron DeSantis, the two of us. But I think in this instance, after watching the Heat play Denver last night, you have become me and I have become you. I really have. Because I believe that if Eric Spoelstra finds a way to win this series, he will go down as the greatest coach of all time and well-deserved. Pat Riley can go right back to Boston and piss on Red Auerbach's grave all over again and say, take that, Red. I found a guy that's better than you, and I cultivated him. Nobody knew who this guy was. He was filming Mickey Harrison's kid's bar mitzvah. And the next thing you know, I named him the head coach of the Heat, and everybody said, what? Who's this Eric Spoelstra? Oh, yeah, he played in Portland. In college at a JUCO. Does that distinguish him? I mean, they say this, and possibly there's some truth to it, right? That the great players never become great coaches. I guess there have been some. But it's always some scrub, right, that shows up, and next thing you know, he's like a genius coach. And maybe that's true of Eric Spoelstra. But if he wins this series and figures out a way to do it, you are optimistic that the Heat showed real signs of life last night. And I thought they got crushed like a grape. And that was about as definitive a victory as you could get. Although, all of the things that you were saying on the earlier program that we did on Five Reasons Sports Network, Defo on Five, have some relevance. The trouble is, can they manifest themselves into a Game 2 victory for the Miami Heat? You say yes, I say no. So I'll let you elaborate. I mean, you saw what a lot of people did. Uncharacteristically lousy shooting by the Heat's, normally reliable players. Usually, I mean, it's not everybody, but when you factor in what Struess,
Yep.
Robinson, Vincent, Martin, maybe Kevin Love has done a disappearing act now at this stage of the postseason. I don't even think he sniffed the floor last night, even
I
down
didn't play at all.
21. But those four guys, usually two of them will be shooting the ball well, and then you have to count on your main fulcrum there, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, to generate the majority of the points and the positive plays at the offensive end. You're also counting on Jimmy Butler to get to the stripe. The Heat only shoot 2 free throws in the ball game, none and were taken by Jimmy Butler, which is highly uncharacteristic of his play. And I don't know. I mean, at least I'll give you this, Lubie. In spite of that kind of startling aberration of a stat, 2 free throws for the Heat in the entire game. That really is like a football game where there's no holding calls, right? The
Yes.
entire game. Not one guy held. Never.
That was my point. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not. I don't think the refs. I don't think it's a look. This is not a
The
Boston.
refs weren't the cause of the defeat by the Heat, though, by any stretch.
No, and I don't think it was conspiracy or any of that crap. It's not like the Heat didn't go to the basket at all. Look, 39 threes is more than I'd like them to take, but it's not. We've seen the Rockets shoot 65. Like it's not some.
The Celtics, if they didn't hoist 40 a game, they were losers.
So, and you still get to the line with that. Like you can shoot 39 threes and still be aggressive too. Look, Bam said at the end, they didn't get to the basket enough. They weren't aggressive enough. I'm not fighting that. You still shoot more than 2 free throws. I'm sorry.
It's almost impossible to think that nobody except for, Highsmith got fouled in the act of shooting. And by the way, this Highsmith guy, I mean, just a footnote here, a little asterisk. I mean, every time he's on the court, is he not extremely impressive? And he's in love with the guy. And, I wouldn't have known him from Alonzo Highsmith. We did see him in spurts during the season, but who was he? And then Spoelstra, I guess, in an act of, desperation, sometimes a mother of invention, with a couple of guys down that he normally would be giving significant minutes to, Hero and to a lesser extent Oladipo, all of a sudden throws this Highsmith guy out there. He looks as impressive as Caleb Martin when he's in there in the ballgame. Although Martin did a little vanishing act last night. I mean, he could have been James Harden last night. Not and that therein lies the problem with if you're going to be a role player and then start to achieve this kind of nationwide recognition as a guy that's a budding superstar. We talked with Eric Reed about that, and I agreed with Eric. Right? Where's this guy been? I mean, he looks as polished as a professional as you could be, but then you can't do a vanishing act at a key time.
Yep.
And he was a non-factor totally in last night's game, with the exception of the 3 points that he scored. So I know usually you're going to get a couple of those guys that are going to go off. You're not going to have Max Strus go 0 for 10 and then everybody else sucks too. And it wasn't Denver's defense that's the one I wanted to out. I don't know what that defense play. I mean, that's the old 2-3 zone where you sag into the basket and just hope one of your big guys gets the rebound so you can break out and start a run down the court the other way, manage as if you were playing hockey, right? And Denver does like to run, and you know that Jokic is going to be a force on the boards, but that was the most passive way of controlling a game I've ever seen from a superstar. What Jokic did in the game last night, he was absolutely in command of the ball game. I think the announcing crew was pointing that out with the way he was dishing off out of the post. It was Walton-esque. I don't know that I've witnessed to the post in a long see from Nikola Jokic. And wait, it's just as awkward as the encouragement advantage. and for a rare change.
Your internet's not great. Yeah, you're going in and out. You come back. Sorry, we're having issues with Defo. I presume that'll get corrected. I'm not sure. We had this issue yesterday. We're having it again today. I'll wait for him to. We'll see him come right back. We will have the Greek at 7:30. We'll have the professor at 8:00 and Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet around 8:30, 8:35. I don't look. Most of you didn't watch our D4 on 5. Most of you don't follow me on Twitter, and you're definitely not in our group chat and the chats I was having with people. But if you've watched us over the years, if you've watched us since we've been here doing this, I'm not positive fan. Defo makes fun of me for hating my teams. I don't hate my teams. I'm just overly critical. It's like the old saying, no one's tougher on yourself than you are on yourself, or you're the toughest critic, you're your own toughest critic, whatever. That's how I am about my teams. I'm not guy that's like, well, they lost by 11 and they were down by 24. There's positives to find in that. No, that's not normally who I am. That's just, you lose, you lose. I don't care who it's against. I don't care if it's the Golden State Warriors with Durant, Thompson. Good morning. Durant, Thompson, Curry, and Draymond, and then this Heat team, you lost by 11 and you were down by 24. Like, that's the reality. I don't sugarcoat things. But if you going into this series, the Nuggets were definitively better to me than the Heat. It both played well in a game. I could still see the Nuggets winning by 10. So if you're telling me the Nuggets played well, not their best game ever, fine, but they played well. They did what they want to do on offense, and that's how they play defense. And he played abysmal, and he did. I'm sorry, outside of Bam and Highsmith, Vincent had 19, but we've seen Vincent score 19. That's not like he's scoring 15 to 19 most games. Every single other player was bad, every player. And it wasn't because the Nuggets were suffocating. They were wide open. Like maybe they were giving them wide open shots, but I don't care. These are NBA players. If you're giving NBA players wide open shots, they should hit him. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not silver lining dude. The Nuggets won, the Heat lost. But it's hard for me to fathom that the Heat do that again. Now, maybe they do. Maybe the clock has struck and Martin won't be 20-point a game guy, but he doesn't need, he needs to be 10 to 15 point a game guy. Maybe Strus won't score 15, but he should score 7. Maybe Lowry won't be Toronto Lowry, but he can do more than 11. Like Butler can be guy with a bad ankle and still have 22. Like that's my thing. Like the Heat can not be scintillating and can be better. Defo was back.
Yeah. Oh, I was gone? You would have when I was gone.
No, I'm here. We've been doing a show. You left.
I've been doing a show. Thinking I was talking the whole time. I was thinking, geez, when is this Lubie coming around? And I don't know what the heck happened here. Do I blame the cleaning ladies for these problems all of a sudden I'm having connection-wise? Did they move?
I don't know.
They moved the, what is that thing called? The central piece
The
there.
modem,
The modem, yeah. That's possible. I don't know. It's the last couple of days. It's been very, very funky. Maybe it's that thing, that schmutz that's out there already, right? Hurricane season just started.
Oh, God.
Anyway, I illustrated some brilliant points. I don't know what you said. You probably made the exact opposite case, Mr. Schenk. Mr. Schenk. Right? That was like when Barry Scheck was denouncing DNA evidence in the OJ case. This is a guy that got like 300 guys released from prison, by finding a spot of blood 40 years ago on, some tablecloth. And said, yeah, you see, my guy couldn't have possibly been there. And then there he is with Mr. Fung. He wasn't the guy that did the cross-examination there. Wasn't that F. Lee Bailey? Was it F. Lee Bailey that destroyed Mr. Fung on the stand? What do you think about that, Mr. Fung?
I don't know.
Was that Scheck or F. Lee Bailey on the Dream Team?
Everyone I thought got a turn of some kind. So there was like 7 guys trying the case.
Yeah, I think even Kim Kardashian was practicing for her future law career. As, Daddy Bob said, did Bob Kardashian say anything during that trial? He was sitting there.
Didn't talk, but Johnny and Bailey.
Johnny Cochran, yeah. Could have been Johnny Carson the way he performed in that trial. If you had done what Johnny Cochran did in that trial in any law school, like you would have flunked out your freshman year. If they had a mock trial and the guy put a stocking cap on his head and said, and then puts a glove on and says, if it doesn't fit, you must have quit. What law professor at any respected law school would have said anything but, listen, Johnny, I know, we have a minority quota to reach, but you're fucking out of here. You're going to let a man's life hang in the balance on that? You got to be out of your mind, man. Why don't you just take a gun out and shoot him right there at the table? That would have been the way to go, but it worked somehow. All right, so we're a little disjointed there. I don't know what you people caught. We love our audience there, and we hate to confuse. I think the bottom line, and I mentioned this earlier this morning on our Defo and 5. I was surveying some stuff on the internet, and I came across, and I thought maybe this was from Ethan Skolnick, 5 Reasons. What was the title of the article? 5 Reasons Why the Heat Should Be Encouraged About Their Performance in Game Number 1. And you have illustrated all of them.
Yeah, that's what I did with you. When we lost you, I just, I don't know if I stated my case. I again, the Nuggets won, and I'm not downplaying it, and they did what they wanted to do, and Murray and Jokic didn't even go off, and they won. So if you're the Nuggets, you're happy. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be. That when after Game 1, when the Lakers made it somewhat interesting, and the national media had a circle jerk, I thought that was ridiculous. So I'm not telling Heat fans to be excited and Nuggets fans to be disappointed. What I'm saying is, if you told me going into that game that that's how the Heat would shoot, I would think they would lose. Even if they made a run late, they'd lose by 25 or 30. They just would. The Nuggets are too good.
I don't know that you're not placing too much importance. I mean, it's almost as if you bet the game on the final point margin, because the game itself was never in doubt. Never. When the Heat got within 10, Denver found a way. What'd they do? They went to their, kind of metronomic presence there. And all of a sudden, after taking 5 shots through 3 quarters, you had Jokic take more shots in the 4th quarter than he took the rest of the game. And what does he do? I mean, when he starts backing guys down and, he has some pretty quick fakes, even though he appears to be completely unathletic. It really does look like Quasimodo in Converse All-Stars, doesn't it? Honestly, I mean, you're watching this and saying, how is this possible that this guy with and that was a scouting report on him when he was drafted, 47th overall in the 2014 draft?
Yesterday, they showed it 4 times, 41. You drafted
41. Okay. And, the scouting report was, atrocious. It was like, why would you ever draft this putz?
But it was accurate. Like everything they said to this day, even being great, you're like, hey, still that. That's what's funny. It was like, you'll hear these scouting reports about great players and you'll laugh. Yeah. The scouting report was spot on.
Yeah. Unathletic slug who, doesn't appear to have much of an upside. That was the best part of it.
That was the only part that was wrong.
No.
Like he can't move, but it doesn't matter is what it should have said. So
you know what? There was a more, favoring and flattering scouting report on Martin Murasep when he was drafted and traded for it by the Miami Heat on draft day when Pat Riley essentially told the world, I don't give a flying one about the draft. And they drafted the guy, and they didn't have any film of him, and they had no pictures of him. They literally showed him by artist rendering. Like they had one of those watercolor things, like if you were at the Gotti trial and they'd shut out all the cameras there. We can't have any of the press in here. I'm sorry. So, and is that a job that has become obsolete? Those people must want to sue Court TV, no? The people that did the artist renderings of courts, court appearances and trials. But that's all they had on Murasep. And Murasep's scouting report was far more glowing than what they were, delivering last night and reiterating last night that thoughts were about Jokic coming into the league. I mean, literally, like I said, he could have been Butterbean Esh in sneakers, only 7 feet tall. And he was seemingly doing nothing last night. 5 shots. I mean, you can't be any more passive than that when you're the number 1 scorer on that team. And yet he ends up with a triple-double once again, which was a very safe bet. I think you were getting plus 105 on that. That was probably the best bet, right? And you needed to grab that 10th rebound. I don't know if he'd come back to the game. Had the Heat not made it close, that would have cost you money if you had Jokic to have a triple-double, because he would have sat the last 6 minutes. But ended up, this line really wasn't indicative of how he was, except for the 14 assists, right? Because he ended up with 27 points and 10 rebounds, and it didn't seem like he was doing much in the game. Very content to just dish the ball off. That the exact same thing that you despise when Jimmy Butler does this sort of stuff. But I did say this earlier this morning as well, and it struck me as they announced the starting five that the starting five of the Denver Nuggets was superior to the five guys that the Heat were going to put out there against them, and then the suspect nature of which of the so-called Heat role players was going to stand out. We became accustomed to seeing that from Caleb Martin, and all of a sudden he disappears. We've seen that happen with Gabe Vincent, Max Strus at different times. You look at it and you go, "My God, man, how does this white guy play this well?" And then he goes 0 for 10. He had one that nearly went down. And I thought I was going to turn it around for him. Right? Remember that one that bobbled in and out there, and I thought, "Okay, good. Finally, he's like 1 for 8." And even that missed. So that was unusual. I'll give you that. If the Heat are going to be that wide open, I don't think they're going to miss all the time. Certainly not on the homewood. But in Denver, the Denver Nuggets have been impossible to beat so far in the playoffs, 9-0, and on the season now they are 43-7. So they've won 86% of their home games. Is there an edge there? I like the fact that when the guy looks at the shot clock at the visiting end of the court, whichever side it's on, they reverse it at halftime. When the Heat look at the shot clock, they're also looking at 52-80. They have that posted everywhere around the building. How did we not take advantage and sell them one of those altitude simulators? Where's Big Jack when you need him?
It's funny.
Where's the Englishman, right? Dave Vincent, who we thought maybe was an actor. Were we more likely to be right about that, or was he a genius scientist that had come up with something that every team in all of American sports needs? I don't know. I'm tempted to hawk one before. You think we can get a meeting with Riley? Can you call Tim Donovan?
I don't know. They could use it just to shoot with
the altitude simulator, which is this training device that we were back in there for a while, and I think it's still out there. I really do. The science. I mean, I believe in it. We had a lot of people that were thinking this was going to be the hottest thing in the world, and then unfortunately, their stock went from being worth $1.05 to I think it's now at 3 cents, Lubie.
Oh, jeez.
And that was a jump from where it was, which was 2 cents. All right. Anyway, it did appear that the Heat were overmatched throughout most of that ball game. Lubie sees encouraging signs. The open shots, no free throws, obviously a bit of an aberration there by any standard, including the inherent bias that you always see in NBA officiating, or so it seems. I don't know why they would have any big favoritism towards Denver. Is it because they've never won one? Huh? Is there some kind of anti-Miami sentiment out there, like the Heat were the University of Miami football team back in the day? Do people just not want the Heat to prosper with this bunch of scrubs that they have, backing up Jimmy Butler and Adebayo? Can Adebayo play the same ball game? Or will Mike Malone, doesn't he have to do something about that? No,
I mean, if they do anything different on Bam, then Jimmy's gonna have a field day. Like, they were just camping Jokic out in the paint, first of all, which I think is an illegal defense, and they never called it once. So I'm curious about that one as well. But we'll leave that alone.
What? That he was in there for like 37 of the 48 minutes.
Bam, he wasn't defending any person. Their defense was let Jokic stand in the middle, never move, and let the Heat shoot every wide open jumper they want.
They could have put a chair out there for Jokic on defense.
Yeah, that's what he did.
That's how uninvolved he was. It was great. and that Miami couldn't take advantage of it. I don't know if that was an encouraging sign. All right, a couple of other things, and the Greek's going to join us, right? Greek is going to be on board. The professor has a big board coming up. Mike Mayo, the gambling gourmet. We're going to see more of Mayo at 12 o'clock out at Gulfstream Park. I always look forward to those Fridays out there. Especially, I love to move inside to the 10 Palms in the schwitzing heat.
Yes.
Tell me that wasn't, a move that was more than called for, and probably a few weeks earlier. Mayo was very reluctant because he likes the lighting outside. No, we're like, Mike, you're sweating like a pig. You look like Moses Malone, and I look like Patrick Ewing standing next to you after we've just run full for 4 hours at the park. Schwitz City. Just so it'll be good. We'll be in the 10 Palms restaurant later on today. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, the Greek's going to join us. He's been great. Denver 104, Miami 93. The Marlins, a footnote yesterday, they get pounded by the Padres 10-1. How did Gary Sanchez end up at the Padres? The Mets cut him. Looked like he was finished. He had been released by the team that he was on previously. I forget where he was. And they sent him down to the minors. And now the Padres pick him up, and he's got 2 home runs in 3 games with the Padres.
That's funny.
All of a sudden, he's a dynamo. He had another homer in the game yesterday. Luzardo, you've been touting this guy.
He had played really well.
We root for him, but not so great yesterday. as his earned run average is now 4.05, an exonobiol blood alcohol level. And he gives up 5 runs in 5 1/3. This guy, Matt Barnes, that's not the basketball player. Could have been, right? Did they bring in Matt Barnes from his Real Smoke show to pitch in the 5th inning yesterday?
He's a
This
reliever.
guy got shelled.
He's a reliever.
4 hits, 5 runs in 1/3 of an inning. That will impact your earned run average and tend to hurt you in any kind of arbitration hearing. You see this? We're bleeding runs here with this guy. 17.4. Musgrove had a no-hitter going for the Padres for like 6 innings, even though he had given up a run, which is an oddity. And the Marlins' penchant for hitting into double plays is unparalleled in Major League Baseball. They can't get out of their own way with this shit, Lubie. I mean, not that it was going to happen, but at 10-1 with the bases loaded and nobody out in the 7th inning, I think it was. I guess it was the 6th inning? 7th inning, yeah. They load the bases with nobody out. They're down 10-1, and you're thinking, I remember, I'll never forget this. My buddy and I that were working as vendors at Shea, we were 15 years old, so we couldn't work at night, all right? So we worked all the day games. You had to be 16 to work at night in New York City. I'm surprised there was such a law, right? Of that level of restriction, because that certainly wasn't true where they weren't making Nike sneakers then, but had they been, these 10-year-olds would have been working all night. Anyway, so one of our things that we like to do was go to some of the night games, some of the Met night games, because we knew most of the guys there from working, selling stuff in the stands in the day games. We knew the ushers. We give them a buck. I think that was true of anybody, though. If you gave, can you believe this, for like $1? Well, I guess you have to consider the context here. I don't know what would it be today, how it equates out. But if you gave everybody knew if you gave an usher $1, he was going to take that greasy glove and wipe off the seat, and you're down there in the front row, right? You're sitting in front of like Joan Payson. It was amazing, who owned the Mets at the time. So my buddy and I, we got held up somehow, not literally robbed, although that was entirely possible on your way to the stadium, especially at night. But we didn't get into the ball game till like the 4th inning, and the Mets were already down 7-0. But we were the kind of baseball fans that we didn't care. We wanted to go to the game. We made a great effort to get there. Long Island Railroad, subways, this, that. And so we sit down, and I never forget, the Mets came back and won that game behind a grand slam by Eddie Brissou, the light-hitting shortstop. And they came back and ended up winning the game. I believe 8-7 was the final. Was the most exciting thing that we've seen. The crowd was going nuts like we were at the French Open yesterday. And I always thought that was always my mentality. I don't care how far you're down, there's a way back. We almost saw this with the Heat last night. Pathetic effort by them for 3 quarters. And then, did they have a shot to win that game at the end?
No, but they could have won the spread. They actually
spread beater. Yeah, there were a lot of people that were very nervous there that were laying 9 with the Denver Nuggets. Very nervous, and for good reason. Does that look like one of those things that was going to end up being a 6-point win? And then, Denver says, you can never discount the Heat. But meanwhile, you're, counting your wounds and, licking scabs off your body because your 300 went up in smoke. But, so the Marlins need what? They don't need another double play like their 63rd, I believe, of the season that they hit into. And they've only played, about 60 games? But every key situation that you've seen, they tap into a double play. You need the grand salami there. You need to be Eddie Brissou one time in your life. I would have been screaming there, Brissou, and nobody would have known what the fuck I was talking about, because it's hard to even explain now. But indelible impression was left that never give up, Lubie. Never give up. It's the Jimmy Valvano thing, old Jimmy B thing. Never give up. Don't you ever give up. All right, don't give up on us. We're going to bring you the Greek. We're going to bring you the professor and a big board, and also the gambling gourmet, Mike Mayo, who, he's been hot lately. Very hot in his gambling endeavors. He told that story yesterday on the Lunchbox about, waltzing into a poker game, and, and imagine that. You're getting paid in poker chips from the job that you had before you started this other enterprise. It's only a matter of time before those payments stop. Trust me. Keep an eye on Dick's team, Mayo. All right, back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:33.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752.
A guy 66 years old wants a roommate. If it's a guy,
You're
and
66. You look great.
I wouldn't go that far, Greek. It's one
Decent.
thing.
Mediocre.
Start your day with a cup of Defo. We now return to the Defo Show.
Wow, hard to believe that, Lubie. Welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show here on South Florida Live. That was 6 years ago. Greek, would you care to amend your opinion? I don't know how good I look for my age at this point, Greek. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I think you look great. God bless you, and I think you're I don't know, a 7 on a 10 scale.
Oh, well, that's solid.
I mean, age to appearance,
That's impressive.
or would I be likely, to be asked the typical question at any reunion I attended, which is, "What the hell happened to you?"
I don't think so. I think a 7, a solid 7. Mickey Mantle.
All right, I'll take that, man.
And then if you had the personality, you're way over. Forget. Then you're like 10 and change.
Look at you.
Yeah, well, that's good because you've had my number blinking on the board for all 6 years then that I've known you. As
I've been wrong before, and I'm glad I lost this bet.
yeah. All right. How are you, my friend? Now, can you give us a circumstance where you inclined to watch this game last night out of curiosity, out of local rooting interest, out of the fact that you're a known sports talk personality here in town, and people would want your comments on it, whatever form or platform you're going to be delivering them later on today. What did you think? Where were you, and did you pay attention?
Yes, I paid attention. I like Denver the first half -5. I was at Strike Cigar Lounge in Boca Raton with a bunch of my friends on a usual night. Wasn't surprised at the outcome at all. The Heat shot very bad too. And, Denver's a very good team. Just people don't know them. And, we're more familiar down here or around everywhere with Milwaukee and Boston. But Denver's out west. They had the best record. I think it's going to be hard for the Heat to win. I really do. I think Joker is a guy that, nobody really knows, even though he won the MVP twice. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We didn't shoot good last night, though. Martin didn't have a good game.
Struce was horrible.
Some of the other guys, Struce was terrible. So, they're talking about bringing Hero back. I hope they don't.
I hope they do.
All right.
But, I think he'll ruin the chemistry. Martin and his brother, I made so much money on them years ago when they were at Nevada. They were a covering machine going back like 4 or 5 years ago. The Twins, they were awesome. He's a great ball player. He just needed a shot. Last night, maybe the bright lights got to him. I don't know. He just didn't play well. But, I don't think the Heat, I can't see them winning the series. I just can't. And I hope I'm wrong, but I just can't. And every series, they won game one. They beat the Knicks game one. They beat the Celtics. They beat the Bucks. They came off a 7-game series. Denver was rested. I mean, you can go either way, but Murray and Joker are really, really good.
Yes.
Bam played great last night. He really did. I mean, he hasn't been, but last night he played bad. I mean, played good. Jimmy Butler at times, I don't know. I still think he's looking to pass too much, where he's just got to be like, screw it, let me score. But the threes didn't fall for the Heat last night. I don't know what they shot, but it could have been a good percentage.
No, it was weak, but and the same could be said of Denver, though. They're a better 3-point shooting team, I think, than they displayed last night. Because you did have Porter, who's a pretty effective 3-point shooter. He goes 2 for 11. He had a lot of wide open threes also. The disparity at the free throw line was something I guess you would have to note because, would that not be, the equivalent of no holding calls in an NFL game, Greek, to have a team presumably only fouled once in a shooting situation?
Yeah, well, again, you can look it up. I don't know how many. They only went to the foul line, I think, twice.
Two free throws for Highsmith. That was it. Yeah, and he got hit with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, Highsmith had a good game, but you keep shooting threes, they're not going to foul you.
Yeah, especially with that defense, they were letting them shoot the threes.
Yep, they were.
Yeah, so I mean, that goes back to Coach Spo changing it. Let's drive a little bit more and try to score. So. I think Denver passed the ball really good last night. They're a good pass team. They're unselfish if you watch them. But I bet you that's the first time, I'm going to say 70% of Americans even saw Denver play.
Very possible. Maybe even a greater percentage because, they don't get featured very often for the record that they had. Yeah. There's always going to be a partiality towards, putting on Golden State or the Lakers or even the Clippers to a lesser extent. Phoenix Suns certainly became a darling of network TV broadcast because, they acquired Kevin Durant. And they were already an entertaining team to begin with. Prior to that, so you didn't see a whole lot of Denver. Jokic for a 2-time MVP has to be the biggest unknown of any superstar, of that caliber. Yeah, and Murray has been brilliant.
Yeah, they won by 11 when they covered because they were laying 9.
Yes.
They blew out. I mean, they were leading at one point by 24. But I didn't expect the Heat to win last night. I mean, again, the over/under on the games in Vegas is 5.5. So that's money to the over.
Yeah.
Money to the under. So a lot of people think Denver in 5. So we'll see. But great season, not over, but they've achieved so much what they want. I do think the Game 7 would have been different if Tatum didn't get hurt. But we'll see. And then I saw the commissioner said last night, which I thought, that he's not going to make the ruling on John Morant until the NBA Finals is over. Because he doesn't want that to, take away from the finals.
Yeah. Half a season? What do you think there, Greek?
I think 40 games league.
That's half a season, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, second time, 40 games, at least.
Holy Alex Karras, my God.
Anything less, I think, would send a bad message.
Yeah, especially after, that point-blank range, they sat down and told him, hey, listen, man, don't let this happen again, Shah. Huh? It's not funny. The Budweiser people are getting a little nervous. So did you stay at the cigar bar till the end? Because the game, it was already, seemingly, for my money, decided. I don't think it really ever came into question. The only thing that did come, into the spotlight a little bit was the spread.
Quarter. I got in the third quarter.
Okay.
I had to do my podcast yesterday, and I had to do the show. So, I got at it around 10-ish. I mean, the thing with the finals, we noticed that the games are late.
Yes, this was better than previous years, though. They moved it up a little bit. But I was wondering, I would imagine some of those guys at the cigar bar were crawling on the floor when it got down to like 11, and it looked like it was teetering on the balance of the spread. Because my recommendation would have been, take a shot with the Heat in the 9 points. Thinking as much as I thought Denver was better, I thought, maybe the Heat make it close at least off the rust factor.
I mean, a lot of people made money on the Heat when they beat Boston, taking a money line, 2.5 to 1. I know a buddy of mine who did very, very well,
Yeah.
Game 7. So I think anything's possible. The Heat are playing great. They've covered so many times in the playoffs. I think there's been 9 times they've been an underdog, and 9 times they actually won the game outright. So
Yes.
they've been playing well. I mean, that's why they are where they are.
Oh, you're cleaning up if you're betting the Florida teams. I'm surprised that Ron DeSantis hasn't put a ban on that, where you're no longer allowed to bet Florida teams if you're in the state because people are prospering
Yeah,
off
surprised
this.
he hasn't. Yeah, that would be pretty normal for him. You know what? You can't do it. You can't bet on the. Everybody be like, well, but sports betting's not legal, Ron.
Yeah. Well, he took the cash under the table there from the Seminoles, but unfortunately, that decision got reversed. Otherwise, we'd all be partying at the Hard Rock and various other locations around town where we could plunge and watch the game. And they have a beautiful setup there. I mean, the Hard Rock, that sports bar they set up is great. Have you been there?
A little small, but nice. Yes, a little small.
In terms of viewing, though, if you can get a seat there, I mean, the screen is magnificent that they have posted there. And
I think if they're not legalized sports betting, they would have to make that a lot bigger because it is nice, but it's small.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, if anybody is capable of doing that, look, they tore down an already fine hotel like the Ritz-Carlton and put up this guitar thing. So, and another one's going up on the Strip. Did you see that, Greek? Your landscape of the Vegas Strip is changing. A Guitar Hotel is going up where the Mirage was. They're about to torch the Mirage and put up the Guitar Hotel as the Hard Rock now is going to be there.
Vegas right now is they're repaving all the streets for the big Formula One race in November.
Oh Jesus! What a complete waste of time.
They're repaving the Strip.
Very good. And I would imagine that's creating a great deal of chaos, which won't be.
Yeah, my buddies say it's crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Do you have any chance, Greek, with your connections, could you have scored 2 tickets for one of these Panther games in Las Vegas? And how would you have gone about it? Would you have called Steve Wynn directly?
No, but I could have got tickets. I mean, I could get
you could have done it? Really? I mean, get out of here, man. That's like getting backstage passes for Bruno Mars. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have no urge. See, the difference with tickets today that wasn't the difference years ago is, everything's electronically now, which sucks. So, years ago when you wanted tickets, even if they were for a client or a friend, you just get them and that's it. But today, if you want tickets, and I have no real urge to watch hockey. I hope the Panthers win. Everybody says hockey's different in person. That's like when they pick you up with a girl and they say, the girl's got a nice personality. I don't have any urge. No, but I got a couple of connections I could have probably got to see for myself.
How high up would you have had to go? Yeah, I mean, because we have a good friend that watches the show, and he's a big Greek fan also. You may have met him at the track during one of your many appearances out there, a guy named Sheldon Glass, Sheldon G, we call him. And he is known.
I would have started with Wayne Newton.
Newton would have been your first call. Okay. The Osmonds, I mean, they're not big there anymore, right? Didn't they vacate their residency in Las Vegas, the Osmonds? Would you have gone straight to Steve Wynn? Would you have gone to Steve Wynn and offered to...
No. That's one-time call in life. I'm not going for Panthers Vegas. I probably would have called Teddy Covers.
Teddy Covers could have got you into this game? Are you kidding me? How big is this guy?
He's huge.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to say our man Sheldon G, who bet $500,000 that he posted online on the Super Bowl, hit the bet, by the way, both of them. He had 2 $250,000 bets. And he said he can't get tickets. Now, is the South Point...
First of all, you can get tickets to anything if you want to pay. You can get tickets to anything. Like I said, I can get you into the Vatican Easter Sunday if you want to pay.
If you want to pay.
Yeah, if you don't want to pay.
Well, we weren't counting on that. We're in the media. What are you talking about? Greek, you know how this works. We haven't paid for a ticket to anything, since 1969. Even then.
I went to a Knicks game a couple weeks ago at the Heat game playoffs.
Oh yeah.
I haven't gone to a sporting event. I haven't gone to a sporting event since the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and Niners.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, I'd rather stay home. I've done it a million times. The traffic, dealing with all the people.
Yes.
And the money you spend on tickets is crazy, and the fees and all that bullshit.
Yes.
I'd rather stay home and put the money on the game.
Let me ask you a question. Did you park in Mickey Harrison's space? And when they came, do you want to ask you if you would?
Brightline. I took Brightline.
Oh, Brightline. Get out of here. You took mass transit to
Yeah, it was
Greek?
great.
How did that work?
Yeah, my mom
Tell
was
me about this.
Yeah, I never took mass transit in my life. I lived in the city 10 years. I never took a
Did you know how to board a bus? I mean, did you have any idea? Or did you just trample the poor crippled guy that was getting off, as he was exiting the emergency exit there or whatever, and they lowered the plank down, and you just moved right
it
to
was
him?
weird. It was a nice experience. It was different.
How long did it take you to get there?
The train's like 2 hours.
2 hours? Not terrible. Okay. And it took you right to the building? I mean,
yeah, we went from West Palm, though. So there was 4 stops: West Palm, Boca, Ventura, Fort Lauderdale. I highly recommend it. Inexpensive. Round trip, $50.
$50. All right.
Yeah.
Tank of gas, and you don't have to deal with parking. The parking, I understand, was amplified. I can't imagine what it's going to be for these 2 final games and that lot that's paved with broken glass across the street there, where routinely it would be like $10.
When the big 3 were there, and I used to go all the time.
Yeah.
Valet was $125 for the finals.
Yeah, no, that's insane. It was $60 to park across the street. I was well into the hood, when I was parking my car there. I would find the first guy to wave me in for $5, and that was it. And then, when I came back, it didn't matter that they had sold the tires on my car. I appreciated the fact that they kept an eye on it, right?
It's here.
Here's your car, Mr. DeForest. Yeah, no, we watched it the whole night.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how they got the tires off.
The Orange Bowl years ago. No sticky, no blocky.
No blocky, my favorite.
Yeah.
That should be the state slogan, shouldn't it? I mean, if we ever secede from the rest of this hillbilly state here, Greek and South Florida, and we create our own 51st state, we should, never mind Puerto Rico, we should be the 51st state here in South Florida, no? And the thing should be South Florida, no blocky.
Oh my God, I'll never forget the first time I went down there.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that meant years ago.
Right.
And I went to a Hurricane game, and I was stuck there like 3.5 hours after the game.
Yes. Some asshole in a Winnebago from Minneapolis, has got Minnesota plates on the thing.
That's my favorite.
Thinks he's fishing on the lake when it's frozen.
They say no blocky, but it's not no blocky. Like you go there and the 5 cars block you.
Yeah, massive blocky is what it should be. Does no mean massive in Spanish? I mean, this is where we came to after. I mean, we had Lubie's optimistic observations about the Heat already. Greek. All right. So, what do you got planned for the weekend, my friend? Anything special? You're not inclined to watch the hockey?
Yeah, I gotta really work hard this weekend. I'm a judge at Monroe's for a $5,000 contest on Saturday night.
That's not the steaks or the food. I mean, we're talking about the talent.
Yeah, these are features from all over the United States. 10 girls come in, and I am one of the judges.
Good for you.
What do you look for, Greek? Talent, baton twirling? What do you look for?
I'm going to say, these girls, and I kid you not, I've done it a couple of years.
Yeah.
They're unbelievably talented. I mean, they jump through hula hoops, fire.
There is a talent competition? No, there is. Oh, there is? Okay. How do they handle the swimsuit thing?
There is no swimsuit. They're naked.
That's my point. All right. I mean, and how would you say you're judging, rates? I mean, I would imagine you're a man, we know you to be a man of great taste and distinction. I mean, do they look at your scorecard like you're Malvina Lathan or Adelaide Bird, at those Canelo fights?
Yeah, I just go. I have a good time. I'm pretty on point. So, then Sunday I'm talking to a lot of kids at Boca Raton about society and life and being a role model.
Get out of here.
That's Sunday. Yeah.
Do you need Lubie to help you with that? I mean,
tonight I got an event at the Kravitz Center.
Geez, what are you going to? A play? What happened, Greek? You're so multifaceted.
No,
It's incredible.
no, it's a dance competition at the gala for Little Smiles, and I'm attending because my co-host Francis is dancing at it.
Oh, nice.
Holy shit, man! I mean, that's what we love about you, Greek. Willing to give back to the community, take your own time, and just go out and respect other people's talents and efforts, especially the girls at Monroe's, which I think is very noble of you to volunteer for that. Do you get any phone numbers off of that, or do they just come straight home?
I don't know what that word volunteer means, but I ain't getting out of bed unless I get paid.
I'm with you, man. That's always the thing. You don't want to leave the house for less than a couple of dimes. If you can avoid it. All right, Greek. So what do you think? I mean, a final thought here after game one. Did the Heat win game two? Lubie says they win game two. I say they don't.
I say no.
Okay.
No,
Worse beating than this
I
one.
think
I mean, are very indicative of it. Maybe the game has a little different flow. I mean, Lubie forgets it's the NBA, and that the final margin really doesn't mean that much. In this case, I mean, it was demonstrated superiority throughout the ballgame, I thought, by the Denver Nuggets. Had it been a tighter game, they might have approached it a little bit differently. And I think they could have gone downstairs to Jokic all day long in the fourth quarter and scored. So, or generated something out of it. And I'm with you. I think they beat the Heat maybe even more soundly in game two. So bet your money on the money line on the Heat. Greek, we love you, man. Have a good time over the weekend, ogling all those naked bodies. And we'll talk to you again
all
next
right,
week.
buddy, we'll talk next week. Louie, love you.
Love you, Greek man.
Very
Thanks.
good, man. I didn't ask him the ultimate question, which is if Eric Spoelstra wins this series after what we saw last night and completes, a fourth, series parlay. Milwaukee supposed to beat them like a drum. Heat win. Knicks, toss up series. Heat win convincingly. Celtics supposed to beat the living daylights out of the Miami Heat. Heat win. And Denver looks like they're vastly superior through three quarters of game number one. Has not lost a game on their home wood the entire postseason. 43-7, 86% winners on the year. And they had to have a couple of those where they came home off a road trip, Lubie. You know how that goes, right? And you're like, whoa, what happened to them? Huh? And no effort. And they're mailing it in. I mean, across an NBA season, if you incur 7 losses at home, it's certainly no horror show. You're thinking that this is as close as you could come to being like the Bulls that won the 72 games, right?
Yeah, they're pretty much well at home.
Yeah, or Golden
Yeah,
State.
with them there since 2016. Now, again, the group that played them this year was, I think, like half the players aren't even on the Heat's roster now, but it is not an easy place to play, and they're now 9-0 in the playoffs. I mean, it's pretty clear.
Well, and you would agree that the Heat during the regular season, even though I don't think they did this by design, but during the regular season, were not nearly as effective overall as they have been in the postseason, which a switch was flipped, and those guys that couldn't shoot a lick all of a sudden were making everything. Now, and that's always the story. I mean, does it revert back? Just like your big fear of Bobrovsky, Lubie, you don't share with this Miami Heat team. Does it revert back to being what it was when they were this lowly regarded 8th seed?
It did last night. I mean, Ken, who's going to be joining us next, has said, look, at some point it feels like they're going to go back to who they were. Yeah. They did at least last night. I mean, I'm hoping it gets better, but look, it may not. Nuggets are a better team. They just are. I've not fought that at all. I just presume you're going to shoot more than 2 free throws over the course of a game. And I presume you're not going to have 2 of your top scorers go 1 for 17. Like, I feel like that will be different. But again, maybe it won't. Maybe they met their match and it doesn't change. I'm really open-ended on this. I know the Nuggets are the difference for this series. That's why I'm so calm is the Bucks, yes, they were the better team, but then the Heat were going toe-to-toe, and we know the Heat play the Bucks well. So once they got into a series with the Bucks, I knew they could win. The Knicks, they were better, and I thought they were equal to the Celtics. That is the first team that is definitively better than the Heat, and anyone tells you otherwise is full of shit. Like, they're better than the Heat. They just are. Their 1-2 punch is as good as any in basketball, and it may be the best because they complement each other better than any 1-2 punch in basketball. Like,
you know what I can't wait for, Louis? I can't wait for the postscript that the professor will have about the Celtics series.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, that could be a big board in and of
He already
itself.
said that's his, like if he win, he'll be happy, but he doesn't care. He openly said,
Yeah.
"I don't care what happens in the series. I just as long as they beat the Celtics, that's a title for me. Like literally, I'm making his trophy and I'm gonna have it in my room. Beat the Celtics. Fuck you, Marcus Smart." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not." Oh, and Tatum got hurt too. Tatum got hurt too. Tatum got hurt, and the Celtics lost after thinking they had the series.
Thing was in the bag. Yeah.
It's actually better than winning a title. Like if somehow they could have beat the Nuggets and lost to the Celtics and got a title.
The only thing that could have been better for the professor is if they flashed to the upper deck and there was Ben Affleck and he dove off the upper deck onto the parquet floor. Head first, like Luganis, Acapulco Cliffs. Watch out, the tide's out. Greg, no. Other than that, and I think he would agree that Pat Riley probably did, on his way to the plane, just stop by Red Auerbach's grave. I said spit on it. Mayo said piss on it. I tend to now side with Mayo, for one of the rare times. Would that have been something if they had a shot of Riley with his pants down just peeing on Red Auerbach's grave? You would have thought that. But if anybody was, inclined to do something like that, it would have been the professor, no?
Yeah,
Piss on Red Auerbach's grave after that series. All right, well, we're looking forward to talking to the professor. He's going to join us here in just a sec. Here on the Defo Show, Hialeah Park, great place to go. I mean, they have all kinds of activity going on. It's wild on the weekends. You're going to love it, whether you're a poker player, whether you're a horse player. You're going to like the Champion Simulcasting Room. I find it, and I've been to a lot of these places, as you might imagine, and there are many nice ones. But Champions is as well appointed as and convenient and fun to be in as any, and entertaining to be in as any simulcast room that you will find anywhere in the country, maybe anywhere in the world. So just a heck of a lot of fun. They really do a good job there. Great food and drink all over the place. And the casino is hopping as well. You can go in there and play all of your favorite Vegas-style games and, of course, play Steve Calibro's Red Hot slot machines where constantly we're seeing jackpot after jackpot being paid out. Whether it's a biggie like 55 grand or, just there's nothing wrong with going in there and picking up a couple of dimes. Is there, Lubie? Right? And walking out of there with a medio noche on your way to the car. Yeah, just bring it. I know. The one you parked up front. That's great because you have a player's card and they give you all kinds of amenities. That's probably a freebie. It's on the house there under, certain criteria with the player's card at Hialeah Park. Check it out for yourself. Calendar of events, always Donna with all kinds of sensational stuff. Looking forward to the next El Boxeo. I have to check with Frankie and see when that's coming up after the big time success they had last time out with all of the fighters there. And it was a beautiful evening as well. Always a spectacular place to be. Make your plans to visit beautiful Hialeah Park sometime in the very near future. If not just saying, hey, we got nothing on today, Deef. We're going to head right down there today. All right, coming back with the professor, the big board, Mike Mayo later on at Gambling Gourmet, and we'll continue with a Degenerate Friday edition of the Defo Show in a moment. Now that.
The time.
Sarni lamenting his girl, Jessica Pegula, went down. French Open, man. Remember this, Lubie. The great equalizer in tennis is the red clay, my friend. They've been having sensational matches, and any Frenchman that gets in there, I mean, it's just absolutely wild. It's 8:01. Ponies in Style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in Plantation, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar, and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Are you looking to buy your first home? Have you been turned down for a loan? Do you need to refinance or get money out of your home? Call Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. He's been helping the South Florida community get mortgages for 30 years.
Hi, this is Michael Kodsey, CEO of Choice Mortgage. We have the most competitive fixed rates in the market. Call me 24/7, 561-441-2730. And remember, I don't just work banking hours. To make the right choice for your home, call Choice Mortgage today.
Either right-handed or left-handed, get down in there, shirk off the defender.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
It's always nice to be able to especially relish a victory, whether you had money on it or not. Welcome back to the show, a Degenerate Friday edition of the program. And no greater person to be emblematic of our degenerate themes than the gentleman who joins us right now, the professor, known throughout the world for his big board segment, but also for what would you say is disdain too light of a word to use for the way that you perceive anything that has to do with Boston?
Maybe light, yeah.
Bitter loathing.
Now you sound like me with my book on marriage. that was just her side of the story. Yeah, I thought of you. I mean, I couldn't have been happier for you. Do you believe that Pat Riley did piss on Red Auerbach's grave on his way out of town?
You know,
should he have?
you were talking about it. The difference between me and Pat Riley and Spoelstra is I definitely would have sent UD in the fourth quarter to kick Tatum in the ankle until it literally snapped off, and his foot was just held on by his sock like Gordon Hayward's a few years ago after that injury. Like if Tatum didn't leave in an ambulance, I wasn't happy. If he could do his fake, oh look how heroic I am, I'm limping around while I do shit in the fourth quarter of the game 7, that's a blowout. My team's lost. I was a little unhappy with that result. Like first of all, the one thing I didn't like was the MVP of the series, which was clearly not Jimmy Butler. It was Caleb Martin, who on top of being by far the Heat's most efficient scorer, was the man who injured Jason Tatum, which again, I had been calling for 7 games.
Yes.
And first 10 seconds of the game, he comes right through. That alone, as far as I'm concerned, locks up the MVP of not just the series, but really the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, you would have stopped just short of sending Radko Gudas after him from the Panthers.
Again, well, what's the point of having UD on the bench if he's not going to go on there and
break somebody's ankle?
Like Mortal Kombat, finish him when he's down.
Finish him.
Yeah, I could have seen you, applauding that move if Spoelstra had gone in that direction. But it was great. I mean, do you agree with my theory? I've had this theory for years, ever since I did some shows up in Boston one time when we were working in the Lapa Nation, and I was up there for the Leslie Visser wedding, and I was working out of some radio station, and I'm looking around at the personnel.
I remember the whole rigmarole. You and Jersey Kyle switching the tuxedo back.
Yes, we had one tux for 2 people. And we were instructed not to insult. Who was it? Nancy Kerrigan.
Nancy Kerrigan.
Wow.
We were specifically spoken
Nancy
to.
Kerrigan and not do it. Why
Right,
me? Why me? How do you mean Nancy Kerrigan?
When Leslie was about to say "I do," I actually was thinking about blurting out "Why me?" That would have got me thrown out of there. I mean, in front of some very important people at the time.
That would have been.
But everybody in Boston, outside of the people that were at the wedding,
why was Nancy Kerrigan at her wedding? I mean, I realize she's Leslie Visser and she knows every celebrity in the world, but that's a really random one.
She might have been there with like Dick Button or something. I don't know. I mean, Leslie knows everybody.
I get that part, but
what were we doing there?
Honestly, I would have been tempted if you're going to have Nancy Kerrigan at your wedding. Don't you have to invite Tanya Harding too? Like,
reenact the whole thing.
Exactly.
In fact, I'm surprised they didn't have some ice on the dance point, and had Peggy Fleming come out and do a couple of pirouettes. Also, she's still alive. Peggy Fleming, dead or alive?
I'm going to say alive, but I don't know.
I'm afraid to look that one up. I really am. I would hate to think she had passed away. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, does everybody there, all of the guys, look like either Whitey Bulger or Mickey Ward? Would you say that's a fair statement about Bostonians? I mean, they have that face that looks like they really did just step out of a bar in Gloucester.
I feel like for a generation that was true, and if you probably go like 50 and above, but I feel like there's a heavy Wahlberg influence now.
Oh, yeah?
And you got a bunch of them running around trying to look like they're Wahlbergs, which is not a positive thing in my opinion. But yeah, the younger generation, I would definitely go more Wahlberg. But, like 50 and above, yeah, the Whitey/Mickey thing definitely in play.
All right, Lubie has morphed into Tony Segreto on the show, and
I heard, and look, that's the reaction for a lot of people.
what do you?
I can really see both sides of this issue. If you're a Heat fan, I think this is sort of karma coming full circle after spending literally an entire series where the Scrubbies shot so far over their head against Boston, and thank God they did.
Yes.
Because look, we were talking about as much as Heat fans love Jimmy Butler and wanted to I'm not going to say he sucked, but Jimmy Butler was not efficient against the Celtics at all. I mean, he probably shot somewhere around 40% for the series, but all the Heat culture guys, I guess, all the undrafted guys, I call them the Scrubbies. Other people call them the Heatles. Call them whatever you want to call them. I mean, you're talking about guys shooting 45, 50% for a series from three. They were probably kind of due for this game where they just couldn't make anything.
Yeah.
And the next question is, does the return to the mean they shoot 35 to 40% like they did during the regular season? Or does the return to the mean in the next game they shoot 45 or 50% like they did against the Celtics? If it's the latter, there's a lot of reason for the Heat to be encouraged because Lubie's not incorrect. The Heat got pretty much all the shots they would want throughout the course of that game. They missed piles of open threes last night. Now, I would say in this series with Denver, really, Michael Porter is not a strong wing defender. Murray's a decent defender, but he's not exceptional in the least. Jimmy Butler's got to be more aggressive offensively than he was last night. He's got to do a lot more than he did last night. You can't have I don't know what he finished with at one point late in the fourth quarter. He had something like 13.
He had 14 or 16.
He had 14 shots total for an entire NBA Finals game.
That number's got to be at least like in the mid-20s, if not closer to 30. He's got to be a lot more. So there's reasons for Heat fans to be encouraged by a game one loss to the degree that you can be encouraged by. On the other hand, I got to say, what is the fucking standard that Nikola Jokic is playing against at this point? Because you go into last night, the guy goes 27, 10, 14. He shoots 66% from the field. And the reaction I see from every Heat fan is, oh, well, we held him down.
They did.
He didn't do anything. Okay.
He had like 9 assists in the first 5 minutes of the game.
The guy went 27, 10, 14. Yeah. And really, the only 3 minutes of the game in the middle of the fourth quarter there where the Heat kind of cut it to 10 and hung around in the 10 and 12 margin. Yeah. He was the guy who was like, oh, I have to score now. So now I'm going to score 8 points in 2 minutes in the fourth quarter when it not really became a game, but kind of became a game. I don't know what standard this guy is playing against, but we're now at the point where historic finals games, I guess, are an expectation, or they're kind of like an game. Again, when 27, 10, 14 is an game, I don't know what the hell you are, because I mean, that's not something people do in the NBA.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Brandon Knight spotted Lubie 10 in an 11-point game when he was playing him that time in the warehouse there that was underneath the station.
Well, again, they showed it last night. There was a stat. The only other player who had a triple-double in his first ever game in the NBA Finals was Jason Kidd in the 2002 Finals.
Yes.
And I remember how impressed everybody was with that Jason Kidd game, even though it was in a loss. Jason Kidd had like 12 points on like 37% shooting that game. This guy has 27 in a triple-double with assists from the center spot.
Yeah.
Shoots 66%, and everybody's like, that's kind of what we expect from this guy. Okay, well, then this guy's,
it was
playing on
his standard.
An entire level we have never seen. And there's a couple of things I think that keep people from recognizing. Number one, again, we have no basis to compare him to anybody. Lubie and I have talked about a few guys.
Yes.
I go back to like the very young UCLA first couple of years in Portland, Bill Walton. Shaq and Barkley last night are throwing out Sabonis when he was in the EuroLeague. The bad news is there's like literally no film of Sabonis when he's in the EuroLeague. So we don't know what that actually looked like. And number two, and I think Mark Jackson made a really good point. And Mark Jackson and the other Van Gundy made a really good point last night. This guy makes everything he does look so ridiculously easy.
Yes.
Again, he kind of plays a laconic pace. He's not the most athletic looking guy, but you look at those passes he's making to Gordon in the first quarter.
Beautiful.
Every time Gordon's got a mismatch with Gabe Vincent or some other guy he's like 6 inches taller than, not only is he, finding him, he's finding him right on the button where all Gordon has to do is catch up and go up and dunk. I mean,
and in a variety of ways. I mean, there's nothing like a clever inside bounce pass, and he has a couple of those, along with throwing it over the top with that awkward motion he has. And as you said, right on the money. I mean, brilliant passing performance. We a lot of people hadn't seen Bill Walton when he was a passing machine out of the post. There have been other good passers on as well. Championship, he was just dynamite. Distributing the basketball out of the low post, and Jokic is the same. I mean, really a brilliant performance there. Control the game, man. That's what they were saying during the ball game, and I thought they were right. He was controlling the game without really even attempting to score, which is highly unusual in today's NBA. All right, well, let's hope Lubie has some merit to his arguments here. A lot of people think that he does. And I'm not among them. I see them losing game 2, maybe by an even wider margin than the final margin was. That was great, though. How about the odds makers again? Have you scraping the carpet to see if you dropped any blow in there? The shag rug, and you're like, wait a minute. I mean, there's something here. I saw him dropped it right out of his nose. To see if you could snort some up and beat that spread. I mean, it was.
I was actually thinking of you in our conversation last week about spreads in the NBA, because if you watch that game, there was literally not a single second of that game where I thought the Miami Heat had any chance to win the game.
Zero doubt.
Never winning that game.
Never in doubt. And then when it was like 21 early in the fourth quarter, I was like, okay, this might be 30. Like this could get really embarrassing because both teams kind of cleaned their bench out at the top of the fourth quarter. Meanwhile, with about 6 minutes left, it's 10. And then literally with a minute left, it's 11. Denver's got the ball, but Gabe Vincent just hit a 3. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, so if we can get one Denver miss and Miami could throw up another 3 and it goes in, all of a sudden they're going to cover this game somehow.
Incredible.
So
no deserving,
again, no real case for what. I mean, a great game by Bam, but literally, I think everybody else played the worst game they've played in weeks and weeks. Yep. So, I mean, really remarkable that this game was anywhere close to the line, but again, was one basket away at one point, was one possession away at one point from the Heat getting a cover, and would have only needed a 2 to push. So,
it's basketball.
It's amazing. It really is. I mean,
again, this is why the NBA is so freaking high
sell
stress
weapons
against
to
the line.
Yeah, I mean, no gambler should be allowed to buy a gun. They should ask you right there. The first question on his application should be, "Do you gamble?" Immediately, no. I mean, sorry, I can't sell you this weapon, sir. I know it's only a Derringer. It's not an AK-47, but you might blow your brains out after that thing if you lost. All right, let's get to it. Oh, no, predictions. Anything you want to play?
We're going back to the USFL.
Okay.
We got a couple
Did we score last week? How did we make out last week?
I believe we went 2-0 last week in the USFL. Nice. And we're going back this week. The Philadelphia Stars getting 6.5 from Birmingham, taking Philly. Again, the USFL so far has been remarkably easy. If there's any question in your mind, take the points, because underdogs cover all the time in this league, right and left. So we'll take Philadelphia, even though Birmingham has got Alex McGough, who's probably the best overall quarterback in the league from down here in FIU. Well, if you ever saw him at FIU, he's a locks anyway. He's really not actually any good. So if you can get 6.5 points against him, I don't care how he's played in the USFL, go ahead and take it. So we're taking Philly plus the 6.5. And then Michigan, who scored for us last week, winning straight up as an underdog. We're going right back to them. Why? Because they learned their lesson last year, cut their scrubby quarterback who couldn't win shit at Michigan, couldn't win shit at Ole Miss, and then got cut in the USFL. Well, they learned the lesson. So go ahead and take the 3.5 points with Michigan over New Orleans, because, hey, look, any team that's willing to learn what's going wrong and get rid of Shea Patterson, then I'm saying roll with them. Roll with Michigan, plus 3.5.
I love the fact that you have reduced the USFL in terms of just free cash to backing a 3-5 shot with Iran Ortiz out of the Pletcher barn at Thistledowns. I mean, this is great that you're just grinding out to steady.
I mean,
profits
the
with
problem
this.
is you can't get realistic action anywhere on it.
Oh, okay.
I think honestly, the books also know that like
What do they cap it at?
this league is
what can you bet on this
ridiculously.
thing?
You're seeing as low as 500 in some places. So
That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
These people are only willing to take a nickel a game. Yeah, they must.
again, I
realize.
think they know that this game is the more interesting one this week, which we found not surprising given the developments of this week. But from everything I've read, and PC and I looked a little bit, college baseball also seriously circled, seriously capped. I think the bookmakers know the NCAA has an issue with this sport and legalized gambling, because you are seeing significant circles and caps put on that particular sport in the tournament.
Maybe they were in on that party call with the Alabama coach.
I think the concern is that
Hey, listen, Mo, I said I'm not pitching that guy. Nobody knows but you.
I legitimately do think that there's some security concerns surrounding that sport.
I would imagine, yeah. I mean, it was kind of like when tennis was always looked at in the funky
Again,
fashion.
like, it's not like Alabama's some schmank program. That's
Yeah.
a consistent top 20 program. When a top 20 coach is like actively fixing games, that's problematic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a rider change at the gate, where that was Polyman's biggest fear, that Lafitte Pink Eye would be replaced by like Doty Dies.
Again, since you mentioned Whitey Bulger, it's basically college baseball has turned into high lie all of the time. where you learn,
Hey, listen, Michelina.
Where you learned it's a gambling sport where, back in the heyday, there might be $12,000, $15,000 in the pool, and these guys are playing for like a $25 bonus if they win the game. Yeah, that could be kind of a security concern.
I'll give you 50 to overserve. Yes. I mean, we had suspicions about many a point in highlight over the years, especially as the Cocaine Cowboys were celebrating in the back there in the restaurant.
Well, again, and then you found out the Winter Hill gang was literally part of the ownership group of World Highlight.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's kind of problematic there.
Who was the owner they whacked? That was
the guy out in
documented
Oklahoma,
there in
and
Cocaine
I can't
Cowboys.
remember his
Great.
name now. Peterson, something like that.
Yeah. He was just a simple guy. Came in here, figured he was going to get involved in a little venture, and next thing you know, won't be seeing him around here no more. I mean, and they shot him like in like a public schoolyard. I mean,
in front of
hundreds of people. It was like
in front of his country club.
Yeah, it's like Tupac Shakur. Nobody saw that, right? Even though they were leaving a Tyson fight. All right, let's get to it.
To be fair, the Tupac thing, while it was on the Vegas Strip, was at like 2:30 in the morning. It wasn't after the Tyson fight. It was hours after the Tyson fight.
People are pouring out of the gates there, and all of a sudden the guy gets whacked. Nobody saw it. All right, let's. I would think. I mean, this was an easy one. We were saying that the
you would think, but you'd be wrong.
People in Boston, didn't they look like they had gone?
Look, I can only kick Boston to some degree, and that's actually will center around one of the stories we cover this week.
All right.
Look, Boston fans, I agree with you. If only Tatum hadn't gotten hurt, then you probably would win a championship and then start a dynasty with Jaylen Brown. And now none of that is ever going to happen, and that must be so incredibly painful for you. You know what? It's like God is out against you for some reason, because 30 years of cheating. I mean that might be a good reason to have some bad karma. I'm just saying. So I can only kick you.
They overcame the Bambino. I mean, I don't
so much.
How many years?
On Twitter, it's like God hates you. That's my favorite line ever.
Yeah, they did. The fans though, they looked like they had gone whale watching on the Andrea Gale or something. I mean, it was like, oh, geez.
Yeah. Hey, look.
Could you have booked a worse trip than to lose game 7?
That's got to be incredibly painful. You're down 3-0, and then you come back 3-3, and it looks like you're going home, and you were on the doorstep of history. I mean, this has never happened in the history of the NBA. It's only happened something like 5 times in all sports combined. I mean, you're on the doorstep of a historic achievement, and on top of it, you're going to get to play for a title. And what happens? Your best player gets hurt 10 seconds into the game. I mean,
that's it.
That's got to be so incredibly painful.
Yeah.
Oops. Like I feel really, really bad for you. Like.
All right,
it's not like karma's a bitch, Celtics fan. But anyway,
let's reveal it. Let's reveal it. This is the big reveal here on the program. Here we go.
We're having the big board of news of the week, because there are
There
so
you go.
many stories from so many places across the globe we have to cover that we have to do a mix and match this week.
All right.
And that'll take us to number 5, which, as a no surprise, sad Celtics fans make me happy. This, of course, is ESPN's Boston fan number 1, Bill Simmons, professional douchebag Bill Simmons,
Professional
who
douchebag.
flew across the country to go to the Celtics' 7th game with his father, only to end up with this face caused by Caleb Martin and the Miami Heat. It's worth noting the last time Bill Simmons went to Boston as a last-second decision to go to the game with his father, it was Game 6 in the Garden when LeBron dropped 42 and crushed the Celtics soul. So I am all
Rachel Nichols.
for Bill Simmons taking the red eye to go to Celtics games, because it seems like great things happen when Bill Simmons makes a trip across the country to go to a Celtics Miami Heat game. He, of course, did a podcast with his father about their feelings of the game. I listened to every second of it over and over all week long. Could not be happier to revel in the tears of Bill Simmons and his fellow Celtics fans. I think Ben Affleck started drinking again after this.
Did he ever quit? I mean, we don't know that for a fact. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's great.
That's our number 5.
That was a classic photo. Fantastic. I mean, well worthy of the list.
If you are a believer in shade and fraud, and I certainly am, then you had to enjoy the sadness of the Celtics and how they now feel. If only Tatum hadn't twisted his ankle, everything will be different. You're right, Celtics fans. It would all be different, but he did twist his ankle, and that's just the way life goes, and I have so much sympathy for you.
Yes. That comes under the title of You're Fucked. Yeah. All right. That's number 5.
And that's number 4. It takes us to number 4, which is Jeff Bezos. Never learns his lesson. This is a man who lost $160 billion in a divorce and now has gotten engaged again. His fiance, Lauren Sanchez, on the left, who for some reason
Rather
is wearing
busty
a tank
picture
top,
of this
but
woman.
kind of looks curiously cold in this picture for some reason. And they say that when you get massive amounts of money, it reveals who you are. Some of us never want to work again, so we're lazy about it. Other people, they are who they are, the Warren Buffetts and Elon Musks of the world, who just keep working. Jeff Bezos apparently has wanted to be Pitbull all along, because he's slowly transforming into Pitbull, now getting married to a Latin girl and going around the world screaming Dale. I mean, honestly, this kind of makes sense, because Jeff Bezos did, in fact, go to North Miami Beach High School. And apparently everybody in Dade County really wants to be Pitbull, which is why when you go out in Dade County, you meet at least 30 guys who look exactly like Pitbull everywhere you go. Apparently, Pitbull is the aspirational figure for all of South Florida. I don't really understand that. But again, Jeff Bezos continues to slowly transform into Pitbull, gets engaged this week, celebrates with a $4,000 bottle of wine, which people on Twitter were very upset about.
Oh, yeah?
Like, Jeff Bezos makes $4,000 in interest like every half second. Like, why are you upset about him having a $4,000 bottle of wine? I'm more upset that Jeff Bezos, you lost $160 billion in a divorce, and now you're getting married again. What the hell is wrong with you?
There's a good track record there. I mean, this woman is married well. She was married to Tony Gonzalez, right?
They were never married.
They weren't married? Okay. She was with
Tony Gonzalez's baby mama. She is not married. Smart, and this is part of my whole point.
And she had this agent, big-time agent
she
in
was
LA.
Tony G's baby mama and you're Jeff Bezos, what can you really know she's thinking about when you two are together and alone? You know she's thinking about Tony G. Like, how do you fool yourself into this? Like, have you seen Tony Gonzalez? Tony Gonzalez is the only vegan on the planet who somehow looks like a pro wrestler. The man is one of the genetic freaks of all. I mean, almost made an NBA roster while he was at the time a top 3 tight end in NFL history. Again, one of the greatest genetic freaks in the history of the planet. But Jeff Bezos, who's trying to turn himself into Pitbull, thinks that, oh, no, I'm the one she's really been dreaming about all these years. Okay, Jeff.
I would say this. I would say if Dusty Rhodes could constitute what people conceive to be the American dream, then Pitbull being the aspiration of, all South
literally
Floridian
everybody
men to,
in Dade County.
Yeah, Dade County.
It's amazing.
Morph into. Yes, you're right about that.
I mean, look, I fully picture if Lubie wins the Powerball, Lubie's going to show up with his head shaved, wearing aviator sunglasses,
Looking like
and
Pitbull,
screaming "Dale."
All right, that's number 4. Very appropriate. I was saying a rather busty picture, though, of
Again,
Laura Sanchez.
despite her dress, she appears to be cold, which I don't really fully
Yeah.
understand. But hey,
Bezos is buff now, though.
the
Did you
heart
see,
again.
the transformation?
So is Pitbull. He's
Yeah.
slowly turning into Pitbull.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think honestly, he's actually shrunk a couple inches to get closer to that Pitbull 5'3".
You've, I think
he was never a tall man to begin with, but I think he's gone from like 5'8" to 5'6" over the last couple of years.
He might have been accidentally delivered, somebody else's Frenchy Fuqua shoes, and he decided.
Well, no, I honestly thought part of the reason he's getting buff is to compress his spine so he can get a little bit closer to that Pitbull size.
All right, got a lot of money though. That's for sure. When you can eat the 160 billion and still, get married, that's the other side of that coin. Kind of like Lubie's optimism about the Heat.
He has a lot of money for now, but at the rate of marriage and the women he's choosing, I'm not sure he's going to finish up that way.
No, and if the Republicans have anything to say about it, no, he'll keep his share. That's for sure. All right, that's number 4. On the big board of news of the week.
To number 3. We were talking about shade and fraud in sports, and I gotta say, I don't like the sport, but soccer fans are on an entirely different level. This is a story out of Scotland and England. We are looking at one Scott Sana, I believe is the way you pronounce it. He is a Manchester United fan who met a couple of Liverpool fans on vacation in Cancun, Mexico. He actually got in an argument about soccer, about Manchester United versus Liverpool with these Liverpool fans. And the Liverpool fans' reaction was to catfish him and send him on an 800-mile drive to meet a woman on Facebook who he had never met before for an affair, only to find out that the woman he met were actually the 2 Liverpool fans he had met in Mexico, who were so upset about him being a Manchester United fan, they decided to ruin his marriage and his life because every picture he sent them, they made a YouTube video out of it and sent the link to his wife. Again, soccer fans are on an entirely different level here, people. Like, I hate Boston fans. I hate Florida Gators fans. I'm not going to seduce Ben Affleck on the internet and then send the video to Jennifer Lopez. I have to respect the level of hatred that soccer fans manage to coalesce here, as opposed to us American fans, who really, when it comes to this sort of thing, we are completely inferior.
Classic. I mean, talk about getting skunked. This guy, I mean, he may as well be a subject on the next Jackass movie. Getting completely punked like that. The professor with the big board. This is news of the week. Always coming up, with some interesting. But
again, what's the level of hatred you have to have that you meet someone who's a Gator fan and be? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to seduce him on the internet and ruin his life. I'm going to Manti-Teo this man because he has the nerve to be a fan of the Gators. Like, that's a level of hatred not even I can comprehend.
Inner loathing, as you put it before the segment got underway.
I hate Boston teams. I wouldn't even do this to Bill Belichick. Like,
I don't know about that, Professor. Given the
I know, I'm serious. I wouldn't even do this to Bob Kraft. I mean, I wouldn't have to, because if we're going to do it to Bob Kraft, I'd have to pretend to be a Chinese sex slave. But
wouldn't you have relished being in that cop car in the back seat there? Just happened to be, watching a stakeout.
No, that's my point. My hatred does not run that deep, but apparently for soccer fans, I enjoyed reading the story, but I don't want to be the cop. I don't want to have to look at that videotape. But for soccer fans, that's base. They're like, oh, that's not nearly advanced enough for us.
Wow, they did him in. That's a beauty. All right, that's number 3.
Number 2, yes. I got bad news for us, Defo.
What?
We're all going to die because nobody in the military has apparently ever seen a Terminator movie. For those who don't know, this came out yesterday. The Air Force is now testing an AI drone system. And in the most shocking result ever to everybody who's never seen anything in science fiction in the last 50 years, what happened? The AI drone had a human override. So the AI decided that the human was stopping it from achieving its goal and attacked the human. And then gets better when the Air Force sent commands that the AI was not allowed to attack to the human, the AI then turned and started attacking the Air Force communications towers to keep it from communicating the message that it couldn't attack the human. So basically, the Air Force is creating Skynet because somehow nobody in the Air Force took the time to think, hey, maybe creating AI weapons isn't the greatest idea in the world. I mean, if we can't figure this one out, we probably don't deserve to survive as a race. I got to be honest. We probably deserve to get wiped out by the machines if we're already at the point that we're building AI weapon systems.
You would have to say the system appears to be slightly flawed, at least at its origins here. I'm with you on that. I believe that anyway. I don't think anybody gets out of this thing in one piece.
Oh, no. Really the robots are definitely taking over. And for some reason, we're not smart enough not to build these robots. Again, I'm not like Elon Musk paranoid where I think the robots are going to put us all out of work and we're all going to starve to death and be eating bugs and all that other nonsense. But if we're already at the point where nobody's stopping to think, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't build robot weapons because the robots will turn around and kill us.
Yes.
Again, do we need to start showing the Terminator movies? Does there have to be a class on the Terminator movies at all the military academy? Here's why you don't build robot weapons, because they're going to kill all of us.
Scarier prop, artificial intelligence, leading to that kind of catastrophe, or Ron DeSantis becoming president?
Easily the AI.
Yeah, that's Ron DeSantis is. I mean,
again, Ron DeSantis is like 5'4" and pudgy. If Ron DeSantis tries to kill all of us, how many is he going to get? Like 10, maybe?
You never know. I mean, the way things are trending.
I mean, look, we've seen Ron DeSantis in his sweater vest and giant white boots.
Yeah.
He's not the most scary threat to humanity. But again, the fact that we're already building AI drones, and they didn't even wait a day. They just turned around and attacked us. And when we told them to stop attacking us, they started attacking the towers that communicated the orders. Again, this according to the story, took all of about 3 hours. So,
oh my God!
Wow.
Oh no!
Doesn't sound good. It sounds like something in the system has backfired. All right, that's number 2. We're all going to die. News of the week.
And that takes us to number 1. Speaking of Ron DeSantis, because Ron DeSantis has, of course, passed a bunch of wacky anti-drag show laws.
Yes.
And we know the governor of Texas has to copy everything that Ron DeSantis does. And so, of course, the Texas Senate passed Senate bill this week, which was an anti-drag show law. And that led to an interesting thing, which is because of the language in this new Texas drag show law, it is arguable that strippers having implants is now illegal in the state of Texas.
That'll send them back to reality.
Senate Bill 12 includes paragraph F, which states any enhancements that represent sexuality, male or female, is now illegal, which, again, arguably saying that now means boob and butt implants are now illegal in the state of Texas. I'm going to give the state of Texas about 30 days to void this law, and if not, Jerry Jones is clearly moving the Cowboys back to Arkansas. Jerry, can you imagine being Mark Cuban and trying to sign NBA free agents to the Dallas Mavericks? You're trying to get these guys to sign, and your strippers can't have boob and butt implants anymore? You have no chance. The city of Dallas is going to have the Mavericks going to have the worst home record in the league. The NBA guys are going straight to the hotel, having a nice meal and an early evening.
Yes,
and a relaxing evening. The Mavericks are going to be like 1-41 at home next year.
What about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders? Yeah, I mean, they're going to look like Parisian runway
Again,
models.
there's a question whether that is a sexual display, but that's another one. We know Jerry, just for the strippers himself, is going to get the hell out of the city.
Oh, he's done, yeah. He's selling all of his pizza parlors.
This is the worst sports move. Again, you just signed Steve Sarkisian for tens of millions of dollars to be a coach. How the hell is he supposed to recruit if none of the strippers in Austin can have implants?
What kind of enforcement you think they'll, exhibit on this law?
I can't predict because the state of Florida, we signed the book burning thing, and immediately what happened? All the Nazis started filing against the Diary of Anne Frank. So I assume there's some screwballs in Texas that are going to start attacking the strip clubs immediately. So I if I'm a Texas sports fan, I am very, very concerned about this. Again, if Arch Manning leaves the Longhorns before the season even starts, I'm going to be 0% surprised. I got the Mavericks trying to replace all that Kyrie Irving money. They may have to re-sign Kyrie because nobody else will take the goddamn money.
That's classic. I mean, and an interesting array, an assortment of stories. You're right. You really did have to expand the parameters.
Yeah, we had to expand the parameters of the Big 12. We couldn't just do our hate on Boston. We of course will at some point circle back and do our hatred on Boston, but I don't feel like we need to kick them when they're down this week. We'll save that for another week.
All right, Panthers and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. What do you think?
Who knows? I don't really know enough about it. I'm cheering for the Panthers. Yeah. They seem like they're really hot and playing well.
Yes.
So let's go Panthers, although it seems like Vegas is probably a hell of a series. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing about the Panthers is they keep winning, but every game's like right to the wire, multiple overtime, close game.
Yes.
Maybe in hockey that sort of thing becomes a knack, and they've just got a knack for it right now. So, I mean, my hopes are higher for the Panthers than they are for the Heat after game.
Oh, yeah. That's the way we felt.
To be certain.
Stanley Cup, yes. Larry O'Brien, maybe another time.
But again, as Lubie stated, it doesn't matter. They're playing for the Larry O'Brien trophy. They've already won the Ken Jacobson trophy.
They won the Professor, yes.
You took the Celtics out in the most painful way you could possibly
I'm surprised you weren't part of the celebration.
So much worse than a what do you mean I'm not part of the celebration?
No, I mean the trophy presentation.
After the finals, I'm already throwing them a parade. It might just be me in front of the team playing throwing confetti, but
all right. Let's get a watch party going.
Hey, look, Jimmy Butler, anytime you want to come have drinks at the Foundry, tabs on me for life. And Caleb Martin, particularly Caleb Martin.
Beautiful.
We'll pop out the best bottles of champagne for Caleb Martin.
Excellent. All right, Professor, we love you, man. Thanks so much. Excellent job, as always, on perusing the big stories of the week. And we'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
You guys have a great one.
Thanks,
Ken. Professor, ladies and gentlemen. Covered a lot of ground there.
That was classic.
I mean, from the USFL picks, which, wow, it's so easy pickings. They still will let you bet 500, even though they know they're going to lose the book. Because that's like a courtesy, is it not?
Yeah, they got to at least get some action or just don't take action on the game then.
Yeah.
Something.
All right, Mrs. DeForest, why don't you take your husband to Gordon Ramsay steak at $300 a person for his birthday, right? And that is what I mean. They're throwing you a bone for spending like 8 hours on the slot machines, which you're putting your life in complete peril. You may as well just. I mean, when are they going to just have you attach an ATM machine to the slot that you're playing?
It's just right there.
You could just plug it in. And they just immediately withdraw the money from your account. They don't even wait for you to slide the little, $100 bill there in the slot. If you're putting $100 in a slot machine, is that too much money, Libby? 20 is never enough to even get you started, right? I mean, you don't even have time to adjust your hair, and the next thing you know, that's evaporated. 100 in a slot machine. What do you think? Do you have trepidations about putting a stick?
Yes, 100%. You're talking to the wrong guy. I mean, I do,
because even if you tell yourself, "Hey, I'm only going to play 40," that you're going to go ahead and blow.
You're playing the whole 100. Whatever you put in the slot machine is gone. I mean, you're playing that whole.
It's like, right? You may as well be, hearing the derisive Mexican whistle. All right. Speaking, I'm surprised this guy doesn't like Mexican food. He likes spicy food, right?
He likes like authentic. We make fun of.
He likes stuff with onions in it. I mean, that kind of stuff. Where it's got a little heat to it.
He likes the stuff you'll get in Mexico.
He likes refried beans. I mean, you would think. I mean, with the red beans and rice that he likes, the Tommy T makes. But he doesn't like Mexican food for some reason.
He doesn't like American Mexican. He likes
He wants to be in Mexico, eh?
Like the
hey, gringo, try this.
The corn, not the flour tortillas or not the hard shell. The corn, the little corn ones where you get the cilantro and you get the onions.
They do. I mean, out in California where you get, I mean, I know he hates this term, more authentic Mexican food. I mean, that would be indicative of the kind of thing you would get if you cross the border into Mexico. There's much more of a presence, as you might imagine, of that sort of cuisine in California. And I do remember at one time, I mean, I was in, typically these are little hole-in-the-wall places where supposedly it was like the greatest burritos that you could ever get. And I would have to say they kind of delivered on that. But My friend Louis Brewster, who was the sports editor at the Ontario Daily Report and had some Mexican blood, he said, "Here, Defo, try this green hot sauce." Now, I was one that liked it as hot, I mean, as on fire as you can make it. I wanted to start schwitzing just looking at the stuff. Like when you took a sniff of it, I wanted to have sweat pouring off of my head. And this did curl your toes, Louis, to the point of being detrimental to the overall presentation of the dish. I mean, it was so hot you thought you would swallow the porcupine. It was, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, I could see, I could see where you go, Bourdain, on that sort of thing, right? Because the Mexican food here in South Florida, while good in a lot of places, is not mind-blowingly, a replica of what you would get if you went to, someplace just south of Tijuana, right?
No, it's Tex-Mex. It's more Tex-Mex.
Yeah, something like that. More like conventional stuff.
Yeah. It's not like real deal.
All right. We're coming back. The Gambling Gourmet is going to join us here in just a sec. I'm Jeff DeForest. That is Mike Lubie. Lubitz will be at Gulfstream Park later on today, 12 o'clock. Come on out and say hello. 10 palms, right? Nice and air conditioned.
Yes.
How great is that? And we really took advantage of Joe Beja last time we were I mean, we're ordering Chateaubriand, all kinds of stuff. And how about trying some sushi? So, looking forward to that. Come on out and say hello. 10 Palms Restaurant, 12 o'clock till 1 today. The Mike Mayo Lunchbox here on South Florida Live. All right, coming back with Mayo Man himself in a moment. Now that.
The time
is 8:44.
Folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
I think I'm the only person who got to play at Compound Golf at the Wynn Resort. So that's a claim to fame.
Quite a distinction.
The other thing is 120 degrees, and in front of us, there's a group that was kind of playing a little slow, and one guy was taking a lot of time over the little shots. We were getting a little bit aggravated, but I was playing with the club pro there, the guy who's the PGA professional for the Wynn Resort. He goes, let's not get too upset. That's Michael J. Fox. So,
wow.
Which was quite actually really incredible and encouraging to see a guy with
Parkinson's for like 20 years.
Parkinson's. All right, so this was post Parkinson's.
Yeah, and again, the way I was chopping it around. It's not
so
like
you weren't tempted to take a 3-wood out and buzz him?
I wasn't buzzing him, and I wasn't playing through. And once I found out who it was, I just kind of sat there and enjoyed I took my time. We dropped. I played 2 balls on certain holes. It was good. It was fun.
Very nice. Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet.
Grab a bagel and a schmear, plus some Defo and Lubie. Welcome back to the Defo Show.
I believe that was a different Mike Mayo back at that time, Mike Lubitz. The modern day Mike Mayo would have said, "Hey, you, would you quit shaking and take a shot already?" No, I mean, if you had Fox in front of you, Mike Mayo, the Gambling Gourmet. Who, and I still love this, that, your relationship with Steve Dickstein there of the Best of Del Rey app has deteriorated from a business standpoint to the point where, you're now accepting partial pay in poker chips that you then have to parlay at the poker table into what would have been a full payment from Dickstein. And then he finds out that you won money with this proposition and says, okay, Mayo, now you're paid in full. That was great. How are you, Mike Mayo?
I know that his name begins with DICK, but I am not going to make that claim or disparage him. The man pays me on time every month. So
All right.
it's just that I accepted in trade instead of the because he had these leftover chips from a blackjack night, but it's the same chips that they use in the poker room
Oh,
as
okay.
the
All right.
blackjack tables. And I did him a solid. I just said, okay, you got those chips. He didn't redeem them the night of, because you know how at the Hard Rock sometimes they have such great customer
The
service
lines are
that,
out the window. Yeah, forget about
you
it.
know, really easy to pump those dollars into the machines and lay it down on the table. Not
Yeah.
so easy to get it back. Kind of like my insurance companies, but I get them in the end too, my friend. So
Oh, yeah, giving you a hard time again. You love this. You relish this situation.
oh yeah, I got my public
You're
adjuster on
like
the
an
case.
ambulance chaser at this point, Mike Mayo. When it
And
comes to
it's my
catastrophe.
favorite time of the year, Defo.
Yeah.
We just started hurricane season,
Yes,
and I
and
see
there's
dollar
already one.
signs.
Yeah.
Some people see a potential ruin and nightmarish
That
headaches.
balsa wood frame that you put on your house, did you mention that to the insurance company when they took out the policy?
We have all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to Dick's team. For those who don't watch the Lunchbox, and still feeling a little groggy, but the other night when I was up in Delray Beach, I said, yeah, I'll take those $600 in chips that you have and apply it towards my monthly pay. And I was going to the Hard Rock to just redeem them very innocently, right? Because that's what
Yes.
gamblers do. I was just going to get the money from the cage and go straight home and then deposit it in the bank the following morning.
A likely story.
But lo and behold, when I redeemed the chips at 8:12 p.m. on Wednesday evening, I learned that the registration for the 6 p.m. Wednesday night $20,000 guaranteed poker tournament was still open until 8:15. So what do? I say, yeah, put some of that $500 chip money towards the $200 entry fee. I still got $300 back, which felt
Yes.
like a win right there. But then when I, was fueled,
Especially since you assumed Dick's team was going to stiff you
no,
altogether. Oh, no. You've already clarified that he's a
I've
man of honor.
clarified. The
Yeah,
man's name begins with Dick. But
Is that
he has
because
no
he still
Dick.
owes you money?
It's not
or-
like seafood, whose name has an FU in it, and I mean every letter
There you go,
of the
again.
FU. But no, Dick's. So I sit down, fueled by my personal Popeye spinach in the form of pizza.
Oh, yeah, that's
having
right.
some
You got off that
carbs.
ridiculous thing that you were doing with the...
Well,
and
I
people had
strayed.
found it so insufferable that you kept talking about this.
Tom
stupid keto
T
stuff.
pointed
Yeah.
out on the show yesterday, quite rightly, like that I claim to be going keto all these weeks, but when I was at Tom
But you're full of
T's
shit.
on Monday,
Yeah, exactly.
that yes, I did start off, and he fed me just slices of roast beef and the
Right,
debris
right.
gravy and the crawfish, which is
'Cause
all
nobody wants to
no
do this.
carb. And then he sliced, he puts down a dessert bowl full of his great bread pudding with me and Bonnie, and I just, of course, scarf half of the bread pudding down.
Before Bonnie had a chance to even make a move on it.
You know what, Default, you're right. I am full of shit, but I also am now full of money because that poker chip that
Yeah, that
I
worked out well.
redeemed, I ended up running it all to third place in the tournament, along with
It's a great
5
story.
knockouts, and
Yeah.
so I turned the 200 into basically 2,300. Which,
Well, and then
if
what
my
time
math
did you get
see
home?
math,
What time did you get home?
Carried the 23 minutes. Yes, it's a $2,100 profit, or in your parlance, that would be 2 dimes and a stick. Got home at
beautiful thing. Yeah.
I got home at 3 in the morning. And,
See, but you're single. You're fighting unattached. You don't have to worry about stuff. You don't have to get up early in the morning if you don't want to. I don't know.
What fucking planet are you living on? I have to get up at 6 to take my daughter to
6?
school. I have.
Why don't you just give her the car keys at that point?
Actually, today I'm giving her the car keys. She has a project that they're done with classes. Her last day of classes was yesterday.
How's
She's
her
now-
driving? Do you trust it at this
Oh yeah,
stage?
she's good. She's good.
Okay,
She got
all
the one little
Because
accident.
it's
out of
scary. It really is.
She got the one little fender bender out of the way on her
Oh, good.
mom's car. That was excellent. And as soon as she did that, I said, "Yep, you can borrow my car anytime now." So
Anytime. Now you're 0 for 1 with a walk, and get out there. And you do have to have that one little mishap. See, I don't know that they do this as much today. I really appreciated
I'm
the
gonna-
driver's education that I had from school.
Go
believe it
ahead.
or not.
Yeah.
Because they had those simulators where the most unexpected thing would pop up, and you get used to that. And then driving in New York, obviously, it's very aggressive, and yet the people know what they're doing. They're all aggressive, on the same page, kind of like Denver was last night on offense. And so you get used to that. And then even with the schleppers down here, who have, I've never seen. I've been in LA. I've been in New York. I've been, obviously many other cities and driving and difficult cities supposedly to drive in. I've never seen anything like this where, literally like stupidity rules. It's incredible. So, I'm glad my kid was able to drive, but I hope they have a very, very, sort of cautious approach when it comes to driving in the education that they give in school. If they
Do you
do it
want to
anyway.
hear the embarrassing story of how she got a little fender bender with her mom's car? It did not involve any other vehicles. It's what they call the one car incident. And she was driving up I guess Diplomat Parkway there in Hallandale Beach, that little windy road by the golf course, former golf course that's gone now. But she had gone to McDonald's and was, I guess, her bag of fries like either fell off the seat and she was reaching down while she's driving and she swerved off the road and hit a little bit of not a big tree, thank God, but just like a little one of these poles with the no parking sign on it, and she just kind of clipped it.
Oh, wow. Okay, that'll teach her to eat while driving.
That's so she is ineligible for the Defo driving while eating while driving.
Dining while driving, yeah. No, we have to launch that thing eventually. I mean, we'll get around to these projects. All right, you were more in agreement with me, Louie, Mr. Optimism. I don't know. You have a tendency to go to extremes, Michael. We've learned that about you when it comes to your sports viewing and opinions now. I mean, one day you love the Panthers, next day you mention seafood. Same thing. One day you love the Heat, now they're finished.
The Panthers team, the players, and now even Bobrovsky. Front office, not so much. But anyway, we're not getting tickets anyway. Don't be afraid. We're not getting tickets. There's no shot in hell. So I could be honest and say.
Sarni believes that we would get in, no problem.
Really?
Jim Sarni. Yeah. Our friend Sheldon G, $500,000 he bet on a Super Bowl. Can't get tickets. They tell him that, kiss Steve Wynn's ass and maybe he has a shot.
Not even Red Deer Randy Moeller can get in the building at this point.
Red Deer, I mean, how is he not in Vegas? With his affiliation with the franchise, just on his own. You're wondering. I guess he's doing shows here. So he has
but
an
even if they're
obligation
doing these post-game shows, you'd think they want to do it on site. But I guess even Bally's is
somewhere on a strip. Go to Opinions. I mean, anything, right?
More strapped for cash than some of our local newspapers. That I don't think Hyde is going to any of these games. He's just doing it all.
Hyde, no road games. You have to be kidding.
I don't know because both teams are in it. He's just parked in front of his TV and writing off of each game every night, and then logging into whatever Zoom session. I don't know how
TV stations are sending people right and left. To both sites.
Well,
although I think CBS has abdicated. They're more on the Heat bandwagon. They have like two guys there and nobody.
Well, there's much
in Las Vegas.
Let's be real. There's a much bigger following for the Heat, even in Broward, than there is for the Panthers. And Panthers is much more of a hockey is a niche sport. People don't want to admit it in the NHL. I love it. I love playoff hockey. It's basically the 15,000 people in the barn, and beyond that, it's not much more widespread interest. I sense nothing about the Panthers now. In '96 there were those. The banner, the car flags flying everywhere. This year, I can't even find a dead rat in my own attic anymore. It's like you can't. I don't know. I just don't get a sense of it. But the Heat, because they've won in the past and they had LeBron, there's much more of it. But anyway, let's get. Can I just absolutely roast Lubie because this was shameful last night. I thought he was Tony Segreto. He had his rose-colored glasses on.
Yeah.
He's like saying,
"This is great."
This was an encouraging performance. I said, "What the fuck are you?"
You just
watching?
got smoked. Yeah,
they got smoked from start to finish. You never got the sense they were in the game. And he was saying, Jokic's doing nothing. He's like, he controlled the whole game. He was a maestro who wasn't playing the instruments. He was conducting an orchestra, and he could have scored at will anytime you wanted, like you say, Defo. And the Heat went like, what was it? Their three scrub, the Martin, Robinson, and Strus. They went like
Abraham, Martin, and John.
2 for 24 overall from the floor. I mean,
horrendous.
That's horrendous. Okay. Yes,
unlikely to happen again. I'll give Lubie that, but I think
not only is it likely to happen again, it will happen again on game 2 because you guys mocked me when I said it's going to be the '96 Panthers going 0-4 against a powerhouse team from Denver, Colorado. They ran into the Avalanche and went 0-4, didn't win a game after their dream run, and I think the same kind of path is happening to the Heat now. Their Cinderella story is over. The clock has struck midnight. They got through the Celtics. That obviously turned into a much more exhausting series than anybody wanted after they were up 3-0. And Butler showed signs of life. Band looked good last night. And still, Denver was toying with them. And it like you never got the sense the only question at the end of the game, Defo, me and you agreed was whether
spread,
there was a cover. Maybe they could just get a couple of garbage.
I can't
time
believe that
threes.
became dicey. Were you looking in the shag rug for old pieces of cocaine?
No, but
to try and
what I
ease
was
the pain if
looking
you had a bet?
for was just an admission by Lubie that basically
No, he won't admit it.
And he's saying, "Oh yeah, they're going to come back strong in game 2," which they might. But all right, my butt is this. He then launched the whole, they only went to the free throw line twice. And he actually made the foolish claim about refs. Like somehow this game, you can't use the refs or the lack of trips to the free throw line as any kind of excuse. This was a spanking from start to finish. The reason there were no free throws is because they got so intimidated going inside in the first 2 minutes that all they started doing was chucking threes and long-range jumpers. I mean, I didn't see any ball movement. There was limited penetration a couple of times. And no, I was not at a poker table, although I did have my online poker league, so I was watching the game over my iPad.
I think that's the best way to observe a game. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, while gambling.
I don't know. I love you, Lubie, but I just think you were completely dead
you don't
wrong
love
in your
Lubie.
analysis. Of
You're the only one thinking that, though. Like, that's the thing. Like, even national media who have been against the Heat have agreed with me. Like, he played as bad as you can play and lost by 11.
Let me tell you why, okay? The national media still hates the Heat. They just drummed up a little sympathy because they want to get any kind of ratings or interest instead of saying, oh, yeah, you know what? This Denver is going to wipe them off the floor in 4. This is a great what scintillating basketball with marquee teams, and we're going to go from a 0.8 to a 0.5 if we don't give the Heat any chance. So I'm being Mr. Cynical now. And maybe the Heat's going to look, they might win one game at home. But again, I'm still looking good. My prediction before the series was either Heat in 7 or Denver in 4. Right now, I think I'm looking at Denver in 4.
All right. It's fair. I mean, a lot of people would agree with you, and many people think that Lubie is indeed morphing into the kind of approach that Tony Segreto would have, which was we have him right where we want him. We just got clobbered.
I didn't say
got
that.
blown off the court. But for a fluke run of 11-0 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, we still couldn't win. Go any deeper there.
Like, it wasn't a fluke run.
It was ugly.
Denver Nuggets are the Yvonne Lendl of the NBA.
That was an interesting analogy you made there, Mr. Tennis. That was good. Yeah.
Boring, ruthless efficiency, relentless. That's what
I don't think they're boring, though. You find them boring? I think it's wildly entertaining what they do.
He's a big NBA fan, and I guess that's the kind of thing.
Jamal Murray is a very exciting player to watch. I like the way they work in sync with each other, and this Jokic is like a throwback guy. I mean, you think you're watching George Mikan in there in the post. It's pretty incredible.
I agree. I find it okay, but other people find it for whatever reason, like they're just kind of just because they've been so efficient and just beating the hell out of everything.
The symmetry they exhibit is great. Plus, they beat the Heat in a variety of ways. I mean, early on, they take advantage of the mismatch with Gordon. Meanwhile, Jokic is doing nothing except passing the ball. Right. Murray was doing his thing for a period of time. Then when they really needed to stave off the Heat with the jab there, they sent it down low to Jokic, and he made a variety of baskets or went to the line. And so they beat you, at every stage of the game, every phase of the game.
Not 2. He went 8 for 12, Lubie. He had 27 points. He had a triple-double.
Quarter, he made 2 the dude made 8 baskets. He didn't make 7 in the fourth quarter. Defo's talking about like he went on a 16-0 run. He scored 4 points.
No, when it got to 10, they went inside on like 3 consecutive possessions. He did his little moves that he does, and all of a sudden he freed himself up. He put in a hook shot or one of those little floating jumpers that he makes, and they kept pushing the lead to 14 again.
They were in full control of the game almost every step of the way.
The
The thing is, it also
only the spread was in doubt.
It also broke the Heat's pattern, and you don't like to see patterns broken where every game won on the road this postseason, they've won.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that hasn't happened. And I'm fully expecting them to go down 0-2. And then it's going to be a pivotal
game 3. Yeah.
Pivotal game 3.
And then a pivotal game 4 to follow.
We're going to have a pivotal.
All right.
Gulfstream.
What do you got? What do you got at the track, man? Gulfstream Park. We're going to be out there later on today. Do you have any steam? What happened to your connections out in New Jersey? That evaporated?
New Jersey, he moved to the Kelsey Danner barn. So
okay. Well, how come we're getting no winning steam from?
Haven't had any winners yet.
Nothing.
I'll get some steam at some point.
How much of the 2,200 did you bring?
No, I've been pretty good. I deposited most. I have five
sticks going into today. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Going into the weekend. I'm sure by the end of the weekend
you'll have zero
sticks, but that's okay.
You want to be like the rest of us.
House money now. It's going to be fun out there. We'll be parked inside because it's
that's good. Nice discovery.
And Yeah, I mean, tomorrow's contest race, it's actually getting a little lean out there. Don't tell them I said that, but they don't have any stakes races or handicaps. We're going to go the biggest purse, and actually
Just do the first race. Get it out.
Well, it's the second race. It's a maiden
right.
special weight for babies, the 2-year-old race, with 8 entries. And they've gone to the Friday to Sunday schedule now. They've also closed the turf course. They're renovating the turf course again. So there's no more turf racing now until October, or even the championship meet, which means it's all that the Tapeta or the main track. So
I'm equally bad at handicapping on any surface. That's what I found.
But the key, I think, for us, Defo, is all those TV sets with coast-to-coast action.
Screen to screen, man. You got Belmont. You got everything working today, man. My favorite track to hit for exact is Woodbine. If you hit one there, it's always a massive overpayment, especially if you can't exclude the favorite. I mean, you can have the second and third choice, pick up an $80 exact. It's unbelievable. All right, Michael, we'll see you out there. Start thinking about what to order there, and I'm glad you're off this keto nonsense, so that we don't have to capitulate to.
I'm actually going to start. I'm starting a curse jar. Well, instead of a curse jar, anytime I say the word keto, not now, but on the Lunchbox show,
we can smack you.
Find me $1. No, I'm going to collect. You'll collect. And
I'm thinking a stiff elbow and a jaw. Those are tight quarters we operate on there.
I'm still allowed to say low carb or no carb, but if I say those 4 letters keto. Just $1.
You say that, I'm going to treat you like I'm Rabko Gudis, and you're Marcia. So I'm just going to come after you on skates. It'll be bad. All right,
do a Ty Domi on me. Just punch me in the face. Just
that's it. I mean, physical abuse is not off the
Hey,
table.
how good was Wicked yesterday? I love Brian.
Oh, that was great, man. You know what? I brought those home. Although I will say this. I don't know why this is happening, and I doubt it happens to. I don't know why it only happens to me. I think Lubie confused the chef once again. But in my effort to get a Philly cheesesteak, no onions for the Mustang, bring it home and say, "Here you go, Mustang." Brian, gave us this. I ended up with a Philly chicken Philly onions, and a regular Philly cheesesteak, no onions. Which I mean, it was like. Again, 3 weeks in a row, we haven't managed to pull this off.
But we love our sponsors.
We love this. No, I mean, look, no one's ever complaining, and I wouldn't complain because I'm happy about it.
How much did you pay for those cheese steaks?
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that it's been odd, and I
believe. Oh, we've turned the tables now, my friend. It sounds like you're complaining a little bit. Sounds like
not complaining. I mean,
you would go on to Let's Eat South
I was going to say I was happy about it because after looking at the chicken Philly with the onions, I thought, oh, good, the Mustang will never eat this, and I have. And it was delicious.
Good.
All right. And who doesn't like onions? I believe she might have been a dog in a previous life. Is that possible? Right? She loves dogs. And
possible. You got
onions. Who doesn't like onions on a Philly cheesesteak of any type? That's crazy.
I don't know.
All right,
anyway,
man, we're out of here, baby. We'll see you later, man. Get the Philly cheesesteak. It's dynamite there at Gulfstream. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you at 12 o'clock today. I don't know. Are you going to go to the chicken parm thing again with Joe Beja? What do you think?
Oh, no, I have no idea what we're doing. I don't know if that's an every week thing. I mean,
oh, yeah?
We'll see what happens. I'm not trying to take advantage of the situation.
Yes, you are.
I'm just happy to be inside, and I'm really stoked to get out to Gulfstream once again.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. We'll see you guys later on today, 12 o'clock on South Florida Live as we leave you now that.
The time.
It's 9:06.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.